You shouldn't even be here," sneered Veronica Blake, the sharp-tongued VP of Innovation, as she glanced at Camilla Reyes's worn-out shoes and handwritten notebook. The entire conference room chuckled under their breath, sipping overpriced lattes, pretending not to stare. Camilla stood still, eyes fixed on the projection screen like she hadn't heard a thing. But everyone heard it. Everyone saw it, and no one stopped it. Who was this woman who looked so out of place in a room full of polished elites? And why was Veronica so threatened by her presence? Because some people laugh right before the tables turn. Camilla Reyes didn't flinch. She adjusted her notebook, scribbled something in silence, and waited as murmurs swirled around her like smoke. No one recognized her name. No one greeted her. To them, she was just a seat filler, a mistake in the room. Veronica's smirk grew wider each time someone glanced at Camilla with a mix of curiosity and dismissal. "She must be one of the scholarship invites," whispered a man in a sleek blazer, loud enough for her to hear. Camilla remained composed, her eyes quietly scanning the panel schedule. The event was the annual Tech Ascend Summit, an exclusive gathering of the most elite minds in the innovation world. People had campaigned, begged, and paid fortunes to be invited. Camilla simply showed up with a badge and a quiet confidence no one understood. What was she doing here? She didn't network. She didn't pitch herself. She didn't play the room. But still, she watched. She listened. And every time someone mocked her presence, a subtle smile curved her lips, like she already knew how this story would end. They didn't realize they weren't just meeting a guest. They were standing in the presence of their reckoning. Camilla Reyes stood out, and not in the way people there admired. While others wore crisp designer suits and flashed the latest smartwatches, she wore a second-hand blazer and carried a paper notebook with the corners curled. Her presence unsettled people. She wasn't loud, but something about her silence felt intentional. Veronica noticed it immediately. "Still taking notes by hand?" she laughed, loud enough for others to hear. "I guess not everyone got the memo on progress." Laughter echoed again, this time from a small group near the coffee table. One of them snapped a photo of Camilla from behind, sending it around with a laughing emoji. Camilla didn't turn around. She didn't react. She simply closed her notebook, looked ahead, and smiled faintly. That smile made Veronica pause. Someone across the room watched too. A middle-aged man with a neutral expression and a staff badge hanging from his neck. He didn't say a word, but his gaze lingered on Camilla just a second too long, like he recognized something no one else did. Later, during a panel break, Camilla stood by herself near the back exit while people buzzed around influencers and founders. She quietly sipped her tea, watching the stage reset. As she stood there, a flash of memory danced across her mind. Late nights coding in her tiny apartment, applications rejected, interviews that ended with fake smiles and polite dismissals. But she kept building, kept refining. No one in that room knew she'd turned down a six-figure acquisition offer just months ago. No one knew that the algorithm quietly powering the biggest breakout app of the year had her fingerprints all over it. They saw a woman alone, poor, out of place. But they didn't see the gravity gathering beneath her silence. They didn't see the storm she carried in her calm. Sometimes the loudest presence in the room is the one that says nothing at all. The laughter had started as a whisper. An inside joke passed between Veronica and her circle. But now it was a current running through the room. "Did you see her shoes?" Someone said near the buffet, holding up a phone to zoom in on Camilla's scuffed heels. "Those have history." The photo made its rounds. A meme followed. Then came the stories. Camilla Reyes, Veronica announced loud enough for people to turn, is actually a guest speaker. Didn't you hear? She's doing a workshop on how to be irrelevant in tech. The crowd erupted in laughter. Camilla remained where she was, unmoving. Her fingers tightened slightly around the cup. in her hand, but her expression didn't change. A quiet breath. A small blink. Then came the live stream. One of Veronica's friends pulled out their phone and began recording a fake interview near Camilla. "Excuse me, ma'am. Do you work here? Can you tell us where the cleaning supplies are?" More. Laughter. Someone spilled a drink, deliberately, near her feet. "Oops. Sorry. Here, use this." A napkin was shoved toward her with the words, "Charity Case," scribbled in red pen. Someone captured the moment. It hit social media within seconds. The post was captioned, "Even legends need a little help sometimes. Startup struggles." Camilla stepped aside, careful not to let the drink touch her shoes. She knelt, dabbed the edge of the spill with the napkin, then quietly threw it in the trash. Her hands didn't shake. People watched, but no one intervened, except one, a junior. Developer named Luis, standing near the wall, frowned. He looked around to see if anyone else noticed how cruel it had gotten. When his eyes met Camilla's, she nodded, barely, like she knew he'd remember this moment, and she wanted him to. Veronica leaned over to one of the organizers. "Are we really letting just anyone in now? No credentials? What kind of message are we sending?" The organizer hesitated but didn't respond. Instead, he glanced up toward the security camera in the corner of the room, blinking silently above. Them. It had caught everything, every word, every mockery. Still, Camilla didn't flinch. The more they pushed, the more dignified she seemed. And that infuriated them, because in their world, power came with noise, with flash, with bragging rights and bold statements. But Camilla refused to play their game. She didn't yell, she didn't cry, she didn't leave, she stayed, quiet, centered, and that silence, so infuriating, so unreadable, was louder than all their cruelty combined. In rooms like that, cruelty feeds off reaction. But Camilla gave them nothing, which only made them more desperate to break her and more blind to what was coming next. Camilla stood near the coffee station, a quiet island in the noise of tech gossip and brand name bragging. The chatter swirled around her. Startups, seed rounds, app launches, but she remained unmoved, calmly stirring her tea. She looked like someone who didn't belong. That was the point. Veronica strolled past her again, this time with an extra flourish, laughing loudly with her entourage. "Can someone please get someone's aunt a ride home? I think she got lost on the way to the book club." The group roared with laughter. Camilla glanced up, not with anger, not with pain, but with curiosity, as if watching children throw tantrums over toys they didn't understand. A man in a sleek black suit entered the room, holding a clipboard, glancing around. The room shifted subtly. People stood a little straighter, voices lowered a decibel. Veronica smoothed her hair. Luis, the junior developer, noticed the man and stepped forward hesitantly. "That's Arturo Vega. He's with Singular Horizons, right?" "Singular Horizons?" someone whispered. "The AI think tank with 6 billion in assets?" "No, more like 20. He runs strategic acquisitions. Basically, if he's here, someone's about to get rich." Everyone looked around, wondering who had been picked. Arturo scanned the room until his eyes landed on Camilla. He smiled, nodded, and walked toward her. Veronica blinked. "Wait, no way." Arturo extended his hand. "Ms. Reyes, it's an honor." Camilla shook it gently. "You made good time." "I wouldn't miss it." The board's eager to begin the rollout. Whispers exploded across the room like fireworks. Someone dropped their drink. Luis looked stunned. Camilla smiled softly. "You should meet Luis. He's sharp, curious. He noticed what most people didn't today." Arturo turned. "Is that so?" He offered his hand to Luis, who stared for a second before shaking it. Veronica stood frozen. "Wait, what's happening right now?" Camilla turned, finally looking directly at her. "Oh, this? Just the public reveal. The culmination of 3 years of research, a dozen patents, and a private acquisition no one saw coming. Arturo nodded. Ms. Reyes is the architect of Project Echo, the quantum adaptive algorithm Singular Horizons just acquired. We've been operating in stealth until today. But you're not even listed on LinkedIn, someone blurted. Camilla smiled. Exactly. Quiet doesn't mean absent. The room fell into stunned silence. Everyone had assumed, judged, laughed, and now they were looking at the woman whose work would redefine the future of their industry. Camilla looked at Veronica once more, not with bitterness, but with a calm clarity. You built a brand. I built a foundation. One gets applause, the other, legacy. Then she turned to Luis. Come. You should hear the brief. There's room at the table for people who see. They walked away, the senior exec and the intern, side by side. Behind them, the room buzzed in confusion, regret, and awe. And Veronica? She stood silent, her curated image cracked in the reflection of someone she tried to erase, because she didn't just underestimate Camilla. She underestimated what a woman becomes when she's done being underestimated. 3 weeks later, a video surfaced on the homepage of every major tech publication, Wired, MIT Tech Review. Even Bloomberg ran a full feature. The title read, "The Woman Who Outsmarted Silicon Valley and Never Needed to Raise Her Voice." The video opened with a shot of Camilla standing in a glass-walled conference room, her silhouette outlined against a skyline of shifting neon. She wasn't speaking to the camera. She was presenting to a boardroom full of industry titans. Real time. Analytics danced across transparent displays as she moved between screens with the ease of someone who designed the very architecture they were now marveling at. Then came the footage no one expected. Clips from the incubator's security cameras, unedited, raw, time-stamped, showed her arriving early, staying late, building prototypes from scratch. Scenes of her mentoring Luis, sharing notes, sketching formulas by hand on a whiteboard while others laughed in the background. Not staged, not posed, just truth. A voiceover, this time from a journalist. While many pitched dreams, Camilla Reyes delivered systems. While others curated image, she coded reality. The next segment showed a private beta test. 3 Fortune 100 companies running Camilla's algorithm in parallel simulations. The results were so precise, so adaptive, that executives had to rewatch the logs to believe them. A finance executive appeared in an interview clip. "We thought it was a fluke. We fed it corrupted data. It corrected for human error better than our team of 20 analysts." Another. "We've been chasing adaptive intelligence for 10 years. What she built didn't just anticipate trends, it redirected them. It's a compass, not a map." Then came the pivotal moment, the internal, Singular Horizons announcement, the official acquisition of Project Echo, signed and executed. Screenshots of the contract flashed across the screen. Camilla Reyes, Chief Science Architect, advisory seat on the board, equity in 8 figures. The final clip showed Camilla at a university auditorium, speaking not to executives but to students. "Be underestimated," she told them. "It buys you silence. In silence, you can build. And when they finally hear you, make sure it's impossible to ignore." One girl in the front row wiped a tear. Another pulled out a notebook and began writing furiously. Back in the incubator, people were now circulating screenshots of her work like collector's cards. Developers zoomed in on whiteboard scribbles from the background of old security footage. VC firms who once ignored her profile now shared her posts with reverent captions. Veronica's name came up. Of course it did. The video didn't mention her, but the contrast was too stark to ignore. Her brand deals began to dry up. She posted a story titled, "There's more to success than just code." The comments were brutal. Camilla never responded. She didn't need to. The story was no longer about who ignored her, who dismissed her, or who tried to push her aside. It was about how she built, quietly, relentlessly, and with a kind of grace no amount of funding could fake. The proof was in the patents, in the testimonials. In the video, every engineering student and underdog founder was now saving to their bookmarks. Camila Reyes didn't trend because she played the game. She changed the rules. And this time, the whole world was watching. Camila's rise seemed unstoppable. Her name echoed in boardrooms and classrooms alike. Professors quoted her algorithmic breakthroughs. Young women in tech whispered her name like a mantra. But just when it felt like her story had reached its triumphant peak, the ground beneath, it shifted again. A leaked email thread from 3 months prior surfaced online. It detailed a strange proposition made to Camila by one of the venture capitalists from the original incubator panel, Elias Dorn, a powerful figure known for backing multi-billion-dollar unicorns. In the email, he praised her system, calling it a revolution masquerading as refinement. But then came the catch. He offered her $15 million in funding if she agreed to transfer intellectual property rights to a shell company under his name. Camila's reply was short, clinical. Declined. Integrity isn't negotiable. The public ate it up. Social media declared her not just brilliant, but incorruptible. The phrase "integrity isn't negotiable" became a trending slogan. T-shirts, mugs, even startup posters were emblazoned with it. But behind the scenes, something else was brewing. 2 days later, Camila disappeared from public view. No tweets, no posts, no press appearances. Her team at Project Echo said she was on a vision retreat, but speculation ran wild. Rumors of burnout, health issues, lawsuits. It wasn't until a small, obscure patent filing was discovered, buried deep in the public records, that the truth began to re-emerge. The patent wasn't under Camila's name. It was filed under Reyes Systems LLC, registered to a rural address in Colombia. The technology described wasn't just a continuation of Echo. It was beyond it. An autonomous, self-optimizing network that could rewrite its own code based on human behavioral input. The file timestamp? It predated her pitch at Singular Horizons by 9 months. That meant one thing. The project she demonstrated to the world was just a decoy. The real work, the one she never showed anyone, had been in motion long before she ever walked into that glossy boardroom. Why hide it? The answer came in a private keynote, months later, held at a closed-door summit for global digital ethics researchers. Someone leaked the footage. Camila stood calmly in front of the room. No branding, no pitch deck. Just one sentence on the screen behind her. They only respect the illusion of control. Then she explained. Echo was never the destination. It was bait. A mirror for the industry to chase, to invest in, to compete against. Meanwhile, the real system, Matria, as she called it, was quietly growing on distributed nodes across small community servers worldwide. She'd partnered with women in rural tech hubs, coders, hackers, linguists, people with no LinkedIn profiles, no venture capital decks. Her goal? To build decentralized, people-first AI governed by consensus rather than capital. Someone in the room asked, "Aren't you afraid they'll come after you?" Camila smiled. "I already gave them what they wanted. And while they scale the illusion, we're scaling freedom." That night, a Reddit thread appeared from a user named C. Reyes Matria. It linked to an open-source framework, unlike anything the community had seen. No monetization, no watermark, just a simple line of text. For every girl told to stay quiet while she codes, build anyway. The comments section exploded. Some still believe Camila outsmarted the system. Others think she abandoned it entirely. But one thing became clear. Her story wasn't about revenge. It was about redesign, not to win their game, but to replace it. 6 months after the leaked keynote, the cracks in the old system began to widen. Elias Dorn was subpoenaed for corporate fraud after multiple shell Companies connected to his name were tied to intellectual property theft. It turned out Camilla wasn't the only one he'd tried to corner. A class action suit followed. Women, minorities, and immigrant founders who had been manipulated, ghosted, or silenced. The tech press, once dazzled by his golden touch, now called him the Emperor of Smoke. His firm collapsed within weeks. Venture partners jumped ship. Funds dried up. He was seen being escorted out of his office by security. No fanfare, no farewell. Meanwhile, Maitreya had become a global movement. Grassroots labs in Nairobi, Bogota, and Manila integrated it into their local infrastructures. It wasn't just software, it was solidarity encoded. Camilla never returned to the spotlight. No TED Talks, no Forbes covers, just the ripple of her work, growing in places the old world never bothered to look. But the final twist? Elias tried to sue her. Again. Claimed defamation. But during the hearing, his own emails were read aloud, word for word, including the one she had responded to. With integrity isn't negotiable. The judge dismissed the case in under 5 minutes. Justice didn't roar. It whispered, and it echoed. Camilla never set out to become a symbol. She just wanted to build something that mattered. But when the system tried to erase her, she didn't. Crumble, she recalibrated. She didn't fight fire with fire. She fought it with clarity, truth, and strategy. The real victory wasn't Elias's downfall. It was that Maitreya lived on, improved, and grew beyond her. A reminder that ideas are stronger than gatekeepers, and integrity leaves a longer legacy than power plays ever could. In a world where ambition is often mistaken for ruthlessness, Camilla's story is proof that there's another way. You don't have to become what hurt you. You don't have to shout to be heard. Sometimes all it takes is the courage to walk away, the strength to keep building, and the wisdom to let your work speak louder than your wounds. Not every woman gets justice on paper. Not every battle is public. But when one chooses dignity over revenge, vision over validation, that's where real change begins. So, the next time someone tells you the system is unbreakable, smile and start designing something better. If Camilla's story moved you, don't let it end here. Share this tale of resilience and justice, because every voice matters. Remember, real strength isn't in tearing others down, but in rising above. If you're facing your own battles, hold on to hope. Change starts with one brave step. Subscribe, join the conversation, and let's build a world where dignity always wins. Your story is waiting to be told.